Hi there, I'm Steve Tordo. I'm the director of the Science and Stewardship Department at the Watershed Institute, and I'm here with you in Hopewell Borough. The reason I'm here today is to take you on a little tour of some green infrastructure features that we installed in the town. The features were installed in fall of 2019 and still early in the growing season. So the plants are just beginning to come up. But that's all the better for me to give you a little tour of how the water is meant to be captured by these features, slowing down, cleaning up stormwater runoff from the town. So here I am in the parking lot of the First Constitution Bank in Hopewell Borough. It's right next to the Borough of Hopewell building. The reason we install green infrastructure practices like rain gardens and bioswales, cisterns, etc., is to catch the water that runs off of hard surfaces just like this parking lot and just like the roofs of our buildings, to catch them before they go into the drains and run directly into our streams. So what we have here at the back of the property is the start of some of our features, and what I hope to show and tell the story of is how these features kind of connect, stop rainwater, soak it up, clean up any water that's going to overflow and go into the stream, but how the features connect to try and overflow one into the other and reduce as much stormwater as we possibly can from going directly to the Beeden Brook here in town. So this parking lot, when it rains, all the stormwater sheets down this parking lot, off of the building roof, and down the driveway. And a good portion of what we see over here sheets this way towards this curb. And so what we've done is put the start of one of our bioswales, a bioretention system, which is basically a garden that allows water to soak in there, but also allows the water to keep moving. You see we've started a rock entryway here, and then we excavated a big long garden down the slope of this grassy area. So the water is able to run in here into the garden, where we plant native plants such as carex grasses or irises, blue flag irises, and many other plants that are really good at being in wet situations, and they're really good at drinking up the water and cleaning up pollutants out of the water as it runs through. You can see along the way here we have another curb cut with a stone entrance for more water to enter, and this feature just continues to flow all the way down here. Another thing that we like to do is, as I said, the stormwater also runs off of surfaces such as roofs. And what do? We usually have it so that the downspouts, such as the one that you see right there coming off of the building, go directly into our driveway or into a drain, into a storm drain, and run directly into the streams. Here we have disconnected that. Here's an example of disconnecting a downspout right there into an entryway into our garden. So when it rains, all the water from the roof ends up right here. It continues to flow, and you'll see that down here we have another disconnected downspout over there, and continues to flow and drain until we reach the end of our garden, where we have a rock outlet. Rocks that we put there are part of a system for preventing erosion, and any water that the garden can then not handle will overflow here and into the storm drain, which you'll see later connects to another feature down system. You can also see that we have another system over here, another smaller bioswale, where the rain that does not flow along this curb over to the right hand side, but puddles off of the roof from the bank, and also some other sections of driveway and parking lot, can actually enter into this small bioswale right over here, where the water then is treated much the same as the other bioswale. It's allowed to enter the garden, which is planted with native plants, and whichever water is not able to be soaked up by the garden can then overflow back out into the driveway where it would have been running off anyway. If we move further down the driveway, we would have some overflow at the exit of that feature. We would have some overflow at the exit of this first feature that I showed you. And eventually right here between here and our next feature, which is at the front of the bank, we'll have a speed bump rainwater diverter. So we'll put in a speed bump on an angle from there over to here so that the excess water hits that speed bump and is diverted into this feature up in front of the bank. This feature is also designed to catch all the water that runs off of the front of the roof of the building and the front parking lot. You'll see we have multiple curb cuts with stone inlets, and then we have a rain garden here. And the difference between a rain garden and a bioswale is just that the rain garden is engineered to hold water more than it is to convey it. Another curb cut to allow water to enter from the parking lot. And this large garden will hold an awful lot of rainwater. Will fill up. They're engineered to be very deep and again have native plants that love the wet environment and are really good at soaking up and cleaning up water that runs through them. Now, should this feature overflow, it would overflow from this exit point right here, another rock outlet, into the driveway, where we would then put another speed bump diverter will be installed this spring, we hope. That would lead to this next feature over here. Now this feature is a little bit different. It's what we call a naturalized detention basin. So you can see we have an inlet here, rock inlet, for any of the water that flows from this parking lot and sheets over this way. Should hit our speed bump diverter, let all the water flood into this, what used to be a detention basin. Now, detention basins are designed so that water can go, so that they can handle a really large flood. So that's why they're sort of a really large depression. But really they're designed to let water just flow straight in and straight out, directly into the streams. So by coming in here and re-engineering it, excavating down deep, engineering it as a detention feature, we make it so that the water that comes in here is held in here, soaked up by the garden, and removes a lot of the water that would have run straight into the stream by soaking it up, infiltrating it into the ground, and by the plants drinking up the water. So you see we have the inlet right there for that section of parking lot. Also you see a culvert inlet. That's because the features and the stormwater that usually would run off from the Hopewell Borough, First Constitution Bank, and the Peasant Grill usually would go into a pipe and come out into these culverts right here, into the detention basin. One there and one there. Still, from those two features over there, any of the overflow from our green infrastructure features will end up in the pipes and will come out into this feature. So that connects all three of those. The stormwater runoff from the parking lot and from the roof of the Peasant Grill will come out via a curb cut over there, curb cuts over there, and will also run out through this culvert here. But you can see the naturalized detention basin is doing its job. It's holding water from our most recent rain event. It's got a little bit of garbage in there we need to clean out. But it's a large feature designed to soak up a large amount of storm water, as well as allows that water to both infiltrate into the ground and allows the plants that grow in there to drink the water and clean it up. So the sediments act as a filter, but the plants act as a filter as well, cleaning out everything from suspended sediments to salts to nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen that run off of our land due to fertilizers and pet waste, etc. So hopefully you can see how all three features connect the three properties: the Hopewell Borough, the First Constitution Bank, and the Peasant Grill, to capture the majority of stormwater runoff for the year in our green infrastructure features. As phase one of our project, we installed one more feature down the road a bit. That's just a little ways up Broad Street, and I'll meet you guys there in a minute. So here we are at Brick Farm Market, just down the road from the features at Peasant Grill, First Constitution Bank, and the Hopewell Borough building. And what we've done is put in a feature here that will catch all of the rainwater from the parking lot of the Brick Farm Market. You see there's extensive parking lot up here, and it runs up around the back there. All the water, when a rainstorm comes, sheets down this parking lot and through these curb cuts and rock inlets that we see over on the other side. It then runs down. This used to just be a grassy ditch that allowed stormwater to just run straight out the pipe down at the end. Now the rainwater enters in and is caught by our garden. You can see the plants are growing nicely. It's early spring, so they're really starting to sprout up. The water is collected in here and runs. And excess water runs down and is continued to be collected, soaked up by our plants. And is then eventually, if there's excess water, overflows into this little rock outlet stilling basin we have, and then it would then exit through that culvert there. So this is a pretty exciting one to watch because we can watch the water run directly into one feature. And even in some of our larger rains, we never see it overflow or fill water into this stilling basin, which means we're really infiltrating a lot of water, and the plants are really soaking up a lot of water in this feature when it rains, which is that much more water that is not ending up in Beaton Brook. And one of the reasons this one is sort of fun to watch is you can come out to the street drain here and take a look. And we can even see right now that over there's runoff from our latest storm still coming out of that drain over there. And usually during storms we could see it coming out of both of those bigger drains. But when we look at the concrete outfall over here, which comes from our green infrastructure feature, there's almost never water coming out of there. So we can actually see when water's overflowing from this feature, and it happens only during very intense storms over a couple of days. So we're pretty proud of that. So this is the last of 4 features that we installed in the fall of 2019. And only the first of 9 features that we plan to install in the borough along commercial properties. And the plan right now is to install more of these features in the fall of 2020. So thanks very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my tour.